Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome back to another episode of Sound Strategies. And today I'm going to show you how to set up a hardware unit for use in Logic Pro 10. But first, I'd like to invite you to subscribe to this channel if you haven't already. We're almost at 100 subscribers, so I'll have to prepare something special when we break that first milestone. So analog hardware has a certain exalted charm to it. Whether we're talking about the vintage classics or modern reissues, a stack full of rack units makes an impressive addition to any studio and gives you a unique sonic palette to draw from. So let's begin by comparing the pros and cons of using analog hardware. So let's start with the upsides. To start, we get to move dials, and the ADHD kid inside of me finds this to be much more satisfying than just clicking a mouse all the time. Analog gear is a lot of fun to work with, and I really like the hands-on approach of using it. It also looks super sweet and professional. It gives the clients the impression that you really know what you're doing. And of course you do, but it always helps to make a solid first impression, and having a rack of hardware definitely adds that wow factor to your studio. They also give us a great, authentic, vintage sound. We're conditioned to like the sound of this gear because most classic records used analog gear, and we've been used to hearing their flavor as we grew up. So because of this, we're more predisposed to really like those sounds when we hear them again. And it has zero latency. Electricity moves really fast, so there's no latency in the analog world. Of course, going between analog to digital, there can be some complications and latency. We'll talk about that later. And then finally, and this can be a plus for some, you get to act snobby and look down on others who don't have the same gear as you. Hey, did you try that new 1176 emulation from Soundwaves?
Ha! I wouldn't be caught dead subjecting my audio to those delinquent ones and zeros. Be gone, digital heathen.
And then there's the downsides. Analog gear can be pretty unpredictable. There's a lot of room for error in the electronics. I've worked with a few units that malfunction and put out an audible level difference between the left and right channels. And this can make working with the analog gear a little bit tricky. You've really got to check to make sure that the unit is doing exactly what you want it to do. And also, you have to print audio before you can process another source, which can be kind of time consuming, but really cool because you can automate live, which is something that of course you can do with the digital world, but it's easier to do with your hands than to just clicking with a mouse. It's a lot more fun too. And then here comes the real issue. It can introduce latency with home recording interfaces. That's a delay between the recorded signal and the processed signal. So the unit itself won't cause the latency, but the round-trip AD-DA conversion will, and this can result in a lot of phase problems. So in this video, I'll show you how to patch in an analog processing unit for use in Logic and how to correct the round-trip latency to run without phase issues. For this, you will need a hardware unit, an interface with analog outputs, and some TRS or XLR cables, whichever is compatible with your unit. So hooking up this unit is the same as adjusting your I/O. You're going to start by taking the analog out into the device in, and then the output of that device back into the interface. And usually you use the same inputs and outputs to make everything easier to remember. Make sure that the preamp level is off, and if possible, switch that channel to a line input on your interface software, and this will ensure that no extra gain is added to the signal during the loop. Once the device is patched in correctly, select the hardware device the same way you would insert a plugin. Using Logic's Utility I/O plugin, select the correct input and output settings. Then click Ping to automatically adjust any latency that may be present. Latency can be a big concern using outboard gear. If you're working with a DAW that doesn't include this ping feature, a simple solution is to record the output of your compressor unit onto a new audio track, and then nudge the processed audio back in time with the original. Now this will ensure that your processed track plays in time with the original and will get rid of any phase cancellation that latency causes. If only other DAWs made this latency correction as simple as a ping button. I've been trying to get the hardware I/O delay compensation to work with Pro Tools, but I haven't had any luck getting good results. But when I figure it out, expect a video on that. Hey, I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know in the comments below if you're an analog purist or a proud digital heathen, or if you see the benefits of both and like to mix and match in your productions. Thanks again for watching this video, and happy mixing.